Top of the morning to you, Alf. Tom Brady opening yet another card store. They wanted to open one new store a month, and they're opening a new one May 22nd. We're going to dive into that, the location, a Tom Brady card vault store for the rich kids. And also I've got a PSA submission that I'm going to send out, and I'm going to show you kind of the numbers and what my thoughts are, what I'm trying to do, and how I'm trying to make money / fund other PC items with this particular order. We'll be right back. Sports card hobby family, another week kicks off, and I got two cards in the mail for my binder project, my nostalgia cards binder project. This one in particular, I remember opening packs of 89 Donruss, trying to chase the Diamond Kings. I'd always get like Ryne Sandberg. I'd never get Bo Jackson. Had to get Bo Jackson to add in to the binder, and of course, this was a big card. People don't realize back this 87 Donruss Barry Bonds, and again, you've got like 87 Topps. There's a bunch of really great cards for McGuire and Bonds and these guys, but this one in particular, I remember in my local card shop, there was always buzz around this card. Everybody wanted this one in particular. Shout out to channel partners PSA. If you've never submitted to PSA before, of course, we're going to talk today about my submission. But if you want $25 off your first order, or you've got friends that have never submitted, share the wealth. Let them get $25 off with the SCD25 code at the shipping and billing screen. It's just a one card minimum to send in and try out PSA. JustCollect.com. You've got a collection to sell. You have no idea. Where do I sell it? How do I do it? The JustCollect.com website has a very easy appraisal form there, whether it's vintage or modern cards. And Leighton Sheldon, check out his Just Collect YouTube channel where he's interviewing hobbyists. He's talking a lot about vintage cards, a lot of education there. So make sure to check out Just Collect. You're heading out to the card show and you need a case, something light, something easy that you can just easily walk around with. Card Capsule's got the big cases, but they also have the easy waterproof smaller cases there. I've got promo codes for Card Capsule in the video description as well as in the pinned comments. All the hobby discounts are there. Demand hobby discounts from your sports card content creators. You've got it here. So make sure to check out Card Capsule, top loaders, semi-rigids, and of course cases. And I saw on the IG machine, 40 Insider reported Tom Brady and the Card Vault team, they will be there in the Hamptons. I saw this and I was like, oh my God, really? In the Hamptons? All the rich kids getting a card store out there in the Hamptons. All the celebs out there in the Hamptons, they have a local card store that is opening up there on May 22nd. Tom Brady will be there in person. And the one thing I thought of, and this is something that's been just kind of going through my mind, especially with the Topps conference last week and all the buzz around. Basically, this is a get-together where everybody shows up doing their best to get FaceTime with the Topps people. And of course, how do we get more allocation? That's going to be a big part of what these conversations this year, as well as in years coming. It's all going to be about the allocation from Topps. But you know who's not needing to go to the Topps conference to beg for more allocation or just to maintain allocation? You know who's not going to have to do that? You guessed it, Tom Brady. Card Vault and Tom Brady, those guys are not going to have to beg for anything. Tom Brady is not going to be running short on allocation. Tom Brady is an investor himself into Fanatics Collectibles, Michael Rubin's company. He will not have to ask for anything. And that's something that I think is a very interesting twist on the card store owner and the Topps relationship as we move forward. We have more and more athletes that are getting involved with trading cards. What if there's another, what if LeBron James, he's now got an autograph deal with Topps. What if he's like, you know what? I want to do that Tom Brady thing. I'm going to have my own card stores too. He's just an example, but I have to believe that these athletes who are also part of the autographs that are in the products, they're going to have major pull with Topps. Are you kidding? They're in the damn products. Not only are they owning the card store, but Tom Brady autograph cards are huge pulls coming out of the new product. So do you think that they're ever going to suffer? And it'd be one thing if Tom wanted to have, a handful of high-end stores. That'd be one thing, but that is not what they said. They said that they want to open a new store every month for the foreseeable future. And I think Tom made some sort of a comment. Now, it might have been just, kind of like in the moment, but having something like 100 stores globally or a couple hundred stores globally. And maybe he's just flippantly saying that as like an optimistic thing, whatever. But if that's true that Tom Brady has 100 stores globally and they all need Topps allocation, something's got to give there, because Topps has also said that they're not going to print more. They don't want it to be a junk wax era type situation, but I think that they're going to have to print more, which of course is going to dilute value on cards outside of the big chase cards. And so what it very might well look like moving into the future is that there's a pretty big gap between the big chase cards and the other chase cards in that product, because it's diluted down, because they just have demand there. If the demand keeps up the way that it is today. Now, it could be that trading cards aren't as hot 5 years from now as they are right now. That could be true. But if it maintains, if it continues to keep momentum, which very well could happen, especially with all the effort, the marketing. Fanatics is just now taking over these licenses, October 2025 for basketball, and then next year for football. Do we really think the excitement around, Topps Chrome football that's licensed and Topps Chrome basketball and all the other products coming out is going to wane? I just don't. I think that it's going to be years down the road before, something does happen like that, and it could just be too much saturation. But if they keep it limited, then again, it puts a strain on, the current supply. There's only going to be a finite amount of that supply that can go out to the partners, whether that's breakers or card stores that are here today. So yes, in a year or two, if you're wondering why Card Collector 2 out there in Ohio builds a tower, a new card tower that has like a "We Love Topps" neon sign on it, you'll understand why he's building that. It's because these guys are going to have to continue to show up and have just incredible stores to get that allocation and continue to have that sort of relationship. That's what I believe. Let me know in the comments what you think about this situation. Because again, Tom Brady and that Card Vault team, that's just one example of, potential strain on that supply and that allocation. Fanatics just opened up a store in London. Are they going to have a bunch of different Fanatics type style stores globally? Again, it just is going to put pressure on that supply of new product that comes out. All right, I've got a PSA submission that I am sending out, and yes, I would like to make some money off this submission. And you can tell me, Dustin, you are a moron. You're not going to make any money off of it. I explained in my last video for my last submission when I did one of these, where I sent in 25 cards, and probably 7 to 10 of those cards were just PC cards, wanted to get them into a holder, etc. But if I wanted to be more strategic, I would do it a little bit differently. For me right now, there's a situation where I actually like the athlete. This is kind of a fun follow for me. And for a variety of different reasons I've explained on the channel. But let's say you don't care at all about this athlete that I'm going to show, and you're just about, hey, look, I want to buy raw cards, grade them with PSA, and then resell them. Caitlin Clark right now is kind of one of those obvious ones when you look at the PSA 10 sales for her stuff. So in hand right now, I've got 9 of her cards. There will be another one that's coming. So I'll be sending 10 cards. Instead of sending them at that bulk, the $18 to $20 option, I'm going to go up one because it's 20 business days estimated. I assume that it's going to take a little bit longer than that. It's $39 per card, but it's 10 cards. And this is kind of a strategic thing to get them back and have them for the national or kind of over the summer leading up as they're going through their season. Because remember, the WNBA, their season starts, I believe, the 16th or the 17th. So we're talking like in 2 weeks, we'll be into the WNBA season. And the thing that's unique about this, like when we talk about NFL, everyone's trying to sell everything before we get to the NFL season because everything goes haywire. Of course, guys, pan out or they don't. So there's all the excitement and the hype around the NFL season. Same thing happens with NBA a lot of times, but really NFL. WNBA, I think, is interesting because everyone's focused elsewhere right now. They're focused on MLB starting up. They're focused on NBA playoffs. I'm not hearing a lot of talk at all, really, about WNBA stuff. And so when I look at Clark's cards, are there some huge sales on her stuff? Yeah, there are. There's huge sales on her PSA 10 stuff especially, or auto stuff that you'll see in the news. But when I look at the 2 main sets that have come out, which are very popular in our hobby, Select and Prism, especially, remember that? Oh yeah, WNBA Prism. There's cards in particular. I've got a purple Prism here at a 149. And something to keep in mind with these is there's a variation for each one. So the purple is at a 149. I'll show you the variation. This is the blue variation for her. And this is, of course, just her standing there with the ball. And this is the blue out of 199. You go back and you've got the shooting version, out of 199. And I've got a few copies of I've got a couple copies of these. Actually, I think I've got a 3rd copy of the blue out of 199. I like the Prism Blues out of 199. The Luka was one that I've always kind of wanted to own. And Luka and the Lakers just got bounced out of the playoffs. But when you look at pricing for the Luka Blue out of 199, now granted, he doesn't have, a variation. He doesn't have a photo variation of this card. It's only this one out of 199, the blue, and it's a cool color match and all that sort of a thing. But the pricing for those cards is still very, very expensive. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a 10. The BGS 9.5, $5,000 to $7,000. The PSA 9, $4,000 to $6,000. And then the 10 is somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. It's huge money for a guy that's never won a title. He's never won an MVP. He's an amazing player in the league. There's no doubt about it. And I think he will have success with the Lakers. But he's kind of reaching that point in his career where you got to make something happen on the title front. You have to. He's got to have some success with the Lakers. LeBron is on his way out the door. And LeBron, realistically, does he have more than a couple seasons left in him? I don't know. I think he might have one more. But to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he called it a career after this season. But anyway, the point is, if we're comparing to a Luka who hasn't won anything, of course, I know Caitlin Clark hasn't won anything. I understand these are WNBA cards. Apples to oranges, fine. You can say that's totally cool. But when I look at the pricing of Prism, a lot of these cards, like for example, price for this card is about $500 to $600 raw for a numbered card at a $199. I can't find a PSA 10 sale for this card. PSA 9 sale I found for like $600 or $700. So let's say you're break even with PSA 9. And that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it. But I think eventually the PSA 9 does okay too, because I'm speculating that the Caitlin Clark craze doesn't end today. Because a lot of people think, hey, look, sell now because this is trash. In a year, nobody's going to care about Clark cards. And you all could be right that believe that. Absolutely. I don't want to hold all of these cards long term. That's the whole idea. I grade these out. I've got 10 cards I'm sending in. I probably only need to get 1 10 realistically. 2 10s would be great out of the 10 cards. And then I'm making money on that submission. But isn't that kind of crazy to think about? I just need to land 2 10s out of here. I like the fractal. This is a fractal insert prism. And I've got one that's numbered out of 75 and one that's numbered out of 49. Again, raw copies were about $400 to $500, but if you look at 10s, they're $1,000, $1,200, depending on which variation. I like the picture of this one, and I was trying to choose pictures, purposely when I'm looking at inserts. Some of them don't look as good. So going with some aesthetics too. So this is it's a blue Pulsar, also out of $199. So you got a few versions out of the blue out of $199. But again, the 10s, they sell really well. I have a 10 on this card already. This is the Courtside Select. This is a purple ice out of $149. I bought another copy of this card for $550, and I did get a 10 on it, and sales around that 10 are about $1,200. Still holding on to it, holding on to everything right now. I want to get all of my Caitlin Clark cards together after they've been graded and then make decisions there. But the goal here with the Clark stuff is not to hold on to everything. I'm still trying to kind of map out my strategy there, but the idea with the Caitlin Clark stuff is I want to have some long-term Caitlin Clark stuff, some of these to hold over the long term, and the idea being that I sell some of the 10s to pay for the whole collection. That's really kind of a goal, to where if you're able to have your hobby pay for itself, you buy raw cards. Maybe I've spent in total, $5,000 to $6,000 on raw cards, but then I sell off, a handful of 10s and it pays for the whole thing. And I've still got, a handful of the cards left that were basically paid for by just reselling the other cards. That's a win-win. A lot of people do this in the hobby, where you're just buying a particular player that you like. Maybe you're speculating, but you don't want to necessarily hold on to everything just in case it doesn't work out. Well, if you're able to buy, sell, and then you still have a handful of those cards left over, and maybe I'll keep a couple 10s, maybe I'll keep a couple 9s. I'm not exactly sure, but the Prism stuff is really tough to get the 10s on. That's why this is going to be an interesting case study. The Select is easier to 10, I believe, to get gems. And so we'll see how it plays out. Of course, I'll do a reveal of how these cards come back here in the next, whatever it is, month and a half or something. And we'll see, did we get any 10s? Did we get all 8s? Did we get a 6? It can happen. We know that with PSA. there's probably gonna be a 6 in there. There's gotta be a 6 in every order. I'm just kidding. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Friends, have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.